Hello, YouTube! I got my hat on because my hair's a mess. I don't know why I care. My hair's usually a mess on here. By the way, those of you who don't know, this is Mr. Zero's Terror Ride. I am Mr. Zero, clown, comic, sometime commentator. Actually, just sometime clown, sometime comic. Most people probably don't find me funny either. But I saw a video today referring to raising taxes on the rich. And this guy was talking about how the average household income, well, it's household income, he said the average income. Average household income is $50,000 a year. And he's talking about to be upper class, you have to be making $250,000 a year. Now, one comment I've got to say on that. That's the starting point. To make $250,000 a year is your starting point in being in the upper class. That's your starting point. People can be higher than that. Just remember that, folks. People can be making more than that and still be upper class. That's how your fee to enter the club. To enter the club, you have to be making at least $250,000. Enough said on that. Now, he was saying that we shouldn't tax people that are rich due to the fact that they only make $250,000 a year, which I've already said, not everyone that's rich makes that much. He says that that's not that rich because a person making $50,000 would have to save their entire income for just 5 years, and then they'd have $250,000. What he neglects to tell people is that that person with $250,000, if they just save it for 4 years, they'd have $1 million. But he makes the assertion that after they'd have to wait 4,000 years to make $1 billion. That is, of course, the short scale billion, not the long scale vision billion. That's 10 to the power of 9, not 10 to the power of 12. Which billion are we referring to here? That's 10 to the power of 9. Okay, that billion. Not the 1,000,000,000 billion, but the other billion. The smaller billion. The billion we use in the English language rather than everyone else referring to the other billion. In other words, it'd take you a lot longer if you're only making $250,000. Now, there's a lot of things I have to say about that. If you take a person making $50,000 a year and gave them 1 year with that, if you take a person making $50,000 a year, give them 1 year where they have an extra $250,000, they're going to sit there. They can live off of that for 5 years and be perfectly fine. They'd have a lot less stress in their lives because they already know the income's there. And they can plan ahead. They can spend more 1 month, less 1 month, and average it out. What he doesn't think is that a person making $50,000 a year is going to be spending more of their income just to stay alive, just to eat food. Now, you can make the argument, he could just be eating dollar menu McDonald's and ramen noodles for a whole year and he'd be just fine. Okay, and then he's going to have a heart attack and die, too. Do you know how many calories are in ramen noodles? How bad those are for you? But I digress. At any rate, I want to know why this guy says that the billion is the rich benchmark. That your goal is to shoot for the billion. Right now, myself, I'm shooting for the 50,000. I'd love to be making 50,000 a year. I would like the added taxes of paying $50,000 a year. I wouldn't mind paying the extra taxes on that. Now, another thing that people don't realize is if you're making $250,000 a year, you're probably also getting some pretty good benefits along with that. And just to give you an idea, I went ahead and looked up what the President of the United States gets as his bonuses. Now, the President earns a measly $400,000 a year. But he also gets $50,000 in an annual expense account. He also gets $100,000 non-taxable for a travel account and $19,000 for entertainment. That's what the president gets. I'm certain if you're working for one of those big corporations, you can get a lot better bonuses too. I was a mechanic for a car rental place for a year, and during that year, I worked directly under the general manager of that place. That general manager was wealthy outside of that job. He was working the general manager job to earn a little extra cash for Christmas, I suppose. His family was already a wealthy family, and he had his trust fund that made him a rich man. He was doing deals on the side while working there, and I also saw him do a couple other things that I know that your average rich person does. He would never in his life buy a brand new car. He would buy a used one if at all, because with the company he worked for, he got a company car. He got to pick any car off the lot that he wanted, and he got to drive it around. And he got the company to pay for the gas. And I'm sure the higher ups, the people that actually owned this company, knew that. But at any rate, so here he goes. He's not spending money on a car. He's not spending money on gas for his car. I'm sure he probably works out other deals too, where he can get clothes at a discount. He could get food at a discount. I'm sure he probably has his Costco card and he's sitting there buying food in bulk, which your average schmo can't do. They pay to get the Costco card because it's like, gosh, I can save a little bit of money if I buy food in bulk. Just like those crazy coupon clippers you see on TV. And those are going to be going the way of the dodo soon. I'm sure stores are catching on and companies are catching on, saying, we can't be giving away our products for free. So they're going to probably crack down on that stuff, especially with the economy going into the toilet as it is. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and argue whether or not you need to tax people that make $250,000 a year. I'm just going to show you, I'm just trying to discuss the difference between making $250,000 a year versus making $50,000 a year. And it's a great gallop, even though it only takes you 5 years to save up that money. Were you having a disposable $50,000 a year that you weren't spending? That's my main point, but I know why this guy is arguing against taxing people that make $250,000 a year. Because one day he thinks he's going to be making that much. We have a lot of people like that out here in the grand state of Utardia. People going around just thinking of the one day they're going to be rich and they don't want to have to pay extra taxes. They're not. They don't realize that they're not going to achieve this just by wishing it or just by thinking it. They're going to have to work either really hard at moving upward, or they're going to have a specialized career. They're going to have to be like a rocket scientist or be an athlete or be whatever. I doubt this guy's sitting there shooting hoops as good as I don't follow sports, so I don't know who's good at shooting hoops anymore. Used to be Michael Jordan, but he could be like John Stockton from out here in Utah and be really good at stealing. Wah, wah, wah. I mean, stealing like, in basketball. But he could be an actor, That's another thing, acting. Oh gosh, you think you're gonna make money as an actor? You better be good looking, you better be lucky, and you better be talented. You can look at how much SAG members get. The whole total income for a SAG. They report how much the whole union gets and blah, blah, blah. And there's a huge discrepancy. There's the people on the top pulling in the multi-million-dollar movie deals. And then there's the people on the bottom. The average SAG member, I think, and this was like in like early aughts, was pulling in like $500 a year by being an actor. That's like grocery money. I spent $5,000 just looking in the mirror. I mean, it's spent. It's spent before I even know where it went. Actually, that's not true. It takes me a couple months to spend that much, but still. It just depresses me thinking about these things. But what makes me even more depressed is these people that are thinking, I'm almost rich. I bought into Amway. I'm going to be rich one day because I'm going to be at the top of that pyramid that's already on top of me. You can never get to the top of the pyramid. You can only make the heap behind you bigger in order to get rich. You'll never be the top. You'd have to kill people to take over their spots. And I know a lot of people that buy into these pyramid schemes out here. They love it. They love it because they think one day they're going to be rich by having a pyramid scheme. Oh, well. I've been rambling here for about 11 minutes. I don't know if I've made one single logical statement. And I know I'm going to get a lot of negative comments on this if anyone ever watches this video. But I don't have a clever saying other than end communication. Bye-bye.